Hello, I'm glad you could join me today for our devotional. Hope you're enjoying these times we have together. I'm enjoying getting to remember and talk about what I was maybe thinking during this time, writing these songs. The song that precedes this week's devotional is Child of Bethlehem, Christmas song, that I still play every Christmas. And the verse in front of the opening up the devotional is, "If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear." Mark 4:23. I took my first trip to Israel in 1996. It was an awesome experience. Places that had previously been only words on a page came to life right in front of me. Sitting on the Mount of Olives, praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, walking up the Via Dolorosa. All these experiences had profound effect on my understanding of what my Lord went through for me. With all these wonderful sights, one of the most poignant experiences was extremely simple. Out on a little boat on the Sea of Galilee, I began to imagine a normal day in the life of Jesus. As a child, reading about Christ and his life through years of Sunday school, I envisioned his every experience as being momentous. I think I imagined Christ like the man in the old E.F. Hutton TV commercials, which some people would look at you with that blank stare, like when you mention the Beatles, and they blink, who's that? E.F. Hutton was an insurance company or something, and did TV commercials. You remember. The room full of people talking, conversations blending one into the other. And then one particular man speaks, and everyone in the room literally stops frozen, and his or her conversation, they turn to listen to this wise man. And you hear the announcer say, "When E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen." Well, that's how I saw Jesus. I imagined that everywhere he went, people immediately stopped their work, hushed their conversations, and focused their attention on him. But out on that little boat on the Sea of Galilee, it occurred to me that my childhood vision was probably a little off. This is a busy place. Still is. Filled with people who, much like today, were set on their own courses and busy with their own purposes. And Jesus was, as the Bible says, an ordinary man. There's nothing about him that would draw people to him by the way he looked, the Bible says. Most of them had probably never stopped to listen to Jesus and hear what he had to say. Most had probably heard the rumors and read the tabloids about some strange preacher in their community, but were just too busy to pay attention. He walked down the streets and spoke in the marketplaces unnoticed by the preoccupied masses. But there were some who had spiritual eyes and ears, who saw him for who he was and heard the power in his words. These people did not stop in their paths and hang on his every word. They knew, just as all heaven knew, that this was a unique and spectacular time in history. Wise men and women still recognize him today. Draw away from your insignificant and distracting matters today, and tune your ear to hear the voice of Jesus. Meditate on the awesome wonder of Christ. His power, his wisdom, his abiding love are as real today as they were when he walked this earth 2,000 years ago, heeded by a few and overlooked by many. When he speaks, stop what you're doing, hush your conversation, and hang on every word. I meet people every day who are busy, young parents because I have a young child, and I meet young parents who are busy with their lives, earning money, playing sports, whatever. And many of them do everything they can for their children, but they don't pay attention to the spiritual needs of their kid. Some of them probably aren't even aware there is such a thing. And we try to be an example for those people and to try to lead that kind of life ourselves and not be distracted by the ordinary, mundane, insignificant. I just got back from Israel a couple of weeks ago, my second trip. I was surprised by how close everything was. Around the Sea of Galilee, you can see across it, you can see little villages, you can see the Mount of Beatitudes, you can see where Jesus taught the people, you can see where he fed the people. The Greek Orthodox Church over time and the Roman Catholic Church have preserved many of the sites where big events happen, where Mary received the word that she would be the mother of Christ, where Christ was born, where he was crucified, and where he was buried, where he resurrected. We went to the Mount of Temptation, they call it. I have some pictures of that, but it's a flat top in a mountain range, just a big flat top. And it's said to be that's the spot where Satan took Jesus and showed him all around and said, all of this can be yours if you just bow down and worship me. And true to our human nature, there was a store at the bottom of that mountain called Temptation Gallery, and he sold every cheap little trinket. So sometimes you ignore the poignancy of Christ and what his life meant, and sometimes you go, okay, how can I make a buck off of this? And it just is such a mixture of feelings of wonder and like amazement looking at that and I go, right there, that's where that happened. And yet you're distracted by the fact that people are selling little trinkets. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to shut out the noise. I hope you can. Maybe just take one instance today and say, nope, not going to occupy my time today. And I hope you'll hear that voice, the one who loves you more than you'll ever know. God bless. Thank you.